All right, Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. Um, this is GMS Dallas camp. LD Atazak is with me, and I'm the brother Aina. And pretty much we're going to be continuing the series of First Samuel. And right now we're going to be going through chapters 8 and 9 in First Samuel. And so last time we went over, I believe, chapter 6 and 7. Basically going into how the Lord returned the Ark of the Covenant to Israel and was judging a lot of Israelites that weren't right, with the Most High, even after the war between the Philistines and the Israelites was lost originally. And so this is kind of just like a continuation of the events that happened after the Ark of the Covenant was returned back to the Most High. Was returned back to the nation of Israel. And so Lord willing is edifying. Did you have any opening points, Daquan?
Yeah, you just gotta like every time we get into these the history, you look at the mindset of Israel. You look at what was going on with the prophet himself, the way the people responded to him. Uh, you see the way the Lord responds to the way our people act in these certain situations. And anytime you go into the history, you want to make sure that you're able to correlate it with what's going on today. You see, Israel loves to have it so when it comes to being like the other nations. You see that mentality. You even see that mentality amongst Israelite groups today. I mean, actually, Israelites in the camps, all that they still want to be like the heathen. You see, because they can't let this world go. And during the time of Samuel, they wanted a king. They wanted a king, meaning they misused the prophet once again. You see, and you start to notice all these different things that could possibly happen um, in your life just by going back into the history with nothing being new under the sun. So when you tap into when the spirit taps into you, why you being supped with, more and more and more and more and more things start to understand, and you're able to go back in history and go into the future and relate to the present, all because of the scriptures that nobody believes in. Only this book is only for the prophets. Everybody else just gotta wrestle with the scriptures to their own destruction. But you gotta go back into the history to be able to understand the mystery. Go ahead.
Kind. So if you don't mind, we can, without further ado, I can go ahead and share my screen and get into it. We're going to start off with 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 1. All right. So it's 1 Samuel 8 and 1. It says, and it came to pass when Samuel was old that he made his sons judges over Israel. Because when you read the previous chapter, talked about how Israel was delivered from the Philistines. The Lord pretty much pushed the Philistines back. So it was at a period of time where, Israel had relative peace in the land. And it says when Samuel was old that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second was Abiah, and they were judges in Beersheba.
Let's see what their names mean.
Yep. Joel, Yahweh Allah, I believe. Yeah, Yahweh Allah, Strong's H3100. Let me see. The Most High is the power. That's pretty much what it says. Yah at the beginning of the word is he. Wah is Yah can Wah can also be he as well. When it's placed like that, and then Allah is the power. But yeah, that's pretty much the definition there. He is the power. The Most High is the power. And then the second one was, what was it? Abiah. Okay, Strong's H229. Abiah. And let me see here. The Most High is my father, or Abiah or Abijah. The Most High is my father. Abba meaning father, and then Yah is the Most High's shortened name. So they had spiritual names.
Right.
Well, let's see what their demeanor was.
Right. And that's another thing, man. Don't think that just because you're in the truth that your children are gonna be in the truth. You know what I'm saying? You hope, but we see countless times in the scriptures to where men of the Lord spawn pieces of shit. It just is what it is. I would say, look at Eli. Well, Hophni and Phinehas. You see, but these are all things that happen for the Lord's will. You see, when the Lord need to move somebody out the way, he need to move somebody out the way. So the Lord putting that foul spirit on Samuel's sons, it pretty much forced Israel into the next phase of our world, our history. You see, going into them wanting the king.
Yep.
You see, it had to be a reason for it, and that's the way the Lord played it out. You see, the last righteous judge was Samuel, and then both of his sons, they didn't carry the mantle. So now it's time for Israel to move into having a king.
Right. Yep.
Okay, you got it.
Yep. It says 1 Samuel 8:3, it says, and his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre and took bribes and perverted judgment. So that shows you that, you know, just because an individual like you said, Zaquan, is a man of the Lord, that doesn't guarantee that all of his sons are going to be righteous. You know, we saw the point. Well, Eli may not be the best example, but with Samuel, same thing that happened with King David. You know what I'm saying? King David, you know, he had Absalom. Of course, he had Solomon, but he also had Absalom as well. You know what I'm saying? Absalom turned out to be, you know, a wicked man. And then even Solomon's son, Rehoboam, turned out to be wicked. You know what I'm saying? So I had a precept backing that up, if you don't mind. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 2 and verse 8. Okay. It says, yea, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun, because I shall leave it unto the man that shall be after me. You know, and you know, ultimately, man, this world is vanity, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the same chapter that talks about all is vanity, and it's true. You know what I mean? All of the works that you do, you can have a niggardly son, and you know that's your firstborn, so you got to give him the inheritance. But then he squander all of it, right? Like it says in verse 19, and who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool? You see that? You know, you have no control over that. I mean, of course, the scriptures say train up a child and when he is young. You know what I'm saying? But that's the best you can do. You can bring the horse to the water, but you can't make him drink.
Oh man, you look at Job. With Job was putting up sacrifices to the Lord to cover his children just in case they was out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? He even took it a step further. You know, and through it was the will of the Lord for him to lose all of them anyway, but he got all of them back.
Right.
You see, so whether they was righteous or not, I would say whether they was righteous or not, it was out of his control. He was trying to send up prayers and things like that just in case, you know. But hey, you got to know it's not out of it. We can't control that.
Right. Right. Yep. It says, continuing on in verse 19, yet shall he have rule over all my labor wherein I have labored, talking about the son, and wherein I have showed myself wise under the sun. This also is vanity. So that lets you know, man, you know, the only time really sons are going to be really a true joy to have is in the kingdom, man. When we know that they're not going to be wicked niggas growing up. You know what I'm saying? You can have a son in this society, but which one's better, to have a child in this society or to have a child in the kingdom, man? You know, in the kingdom of heaven, where you know, the law, statutes, and commandments is going to be written in the inward parts of all Israelites. You know, I would definitely choose the latter. So, you know, that's just something to keep in mind. But it says, continue on in verse 4, it says, then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah, which is a city. It says, and said unto him, behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. So you can see there,
demanding. Demanding. Look, man, look, we ain't down with this no more. We got, look, man, everybody else got a king. We want a king. Watch this. It's the commentary in the Masor app. It says
Okay.
Israel's history continued to follow the pattern set out in the book of Judges. Once the God-appointed judge, in this case was Samuel, was no longer able to exercise control over the nation, for Samuel was old and his sons that succeeded after him were worthless.
Mm-hmm.
The people turned from the Most High and drifted into wrongdoing. In the search for stability within the nation, the people asked Samuel to bring the old system to an end and give them a king as other nations had. This was more than merely the rejection of the system of rule by the judges. It was also a rejection of the Most High, right? It says the people's troubles came from their sins, not the system of government, okay? And that's one thing that stood out to me in that. Everybody wanted, they would say, you blaming Samuel, you blaming, you want to be like, that was the thing that you picked up from the heathen was sin.
Mm.
That's why you want to do everything that they want to do. Well, they got a king. You had a king. We got a king.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Mm-hmm.
The Lord is the king, and he deals with his people through the prophets. That's the system set up. But no, we don't want that.
Right.
Go ahead. All right, I got a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah, and I see that deal, the map that you was talking about. Yeah.
So if you want to find Rama on there,
Yeah. Rama's in the middle, but I saw Beersheba down here.
okay.
It's kind of pixelated, but that's Beersheba in the south. You know what I'm saying? That was where Samuel's sons were judging that. And then Rama is kind of like in the middle, so you could imagine like probably a lot of the northern tribes came and met like in the middle, you know what I'm saying, near Rama. And this is where they had that conversation that we're reading about now.
Mm-hmm. Says the people's troubles came from their sins, not from the system of government. The remedy, therefore, was to turn to the Most High in a new attitude and faith, love, and practical holiness. Instead, they turned to a new political system, as well as I would say, still today, you got Jake still voting.
That's exactly, I was thinking about that. Yeah, man. Damn, let's vote for the black woman.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing that you can see that's going on today, right? When you go into the law, you're not supposed to put another nation above you. You know what I'm saying? If somebody on the comment board know where it is, Baba Kashah, where it talks about Israel not putting another king over them, and that's actually in the law. You see? Go ahead. Oh yeah, that's right. I got a little bit more.
Okay, cool.
It says, as well as rejecting the Most High, the people of Israel were inviting social and economic hardship. Samuel reminded them of the examples they could see in the nations around about, where kings oppressed their people with a harsh rule, forced labor and heavy taxes. All that's happening today.
Right.
All that's happening today. And Jake still don't want to depend on the Lord. They still don't want to listen to the prophets. They trying to figure out who they. You remember when Biden and Trump was running against each other?
Mm-hmm.
The way our people was acting for Joe Biden, save us.
Yep, man.
All that shit. This is the same mentality.
Right.
This is the same mentality. Forget what the prophet's been out on the highways and the byways for the longest. From Elder Abba to our apostles and their elders, all the way down to us. Been out there telling you. But that's what I'm saying. Niggas will still ask you who you voting for. I remember back in the day when if somebody asked you who you vote for, you would tell them that ain't none of your business. Don't worry about who I'm gonna vote for. It wasn't even up for discussion.
Right.
Now how much? Not so much now. Go ahead.
Going back to 1 Samuel chapter 8, it says in verse 5, and said unto him, behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. But this thing displeased Samuel when they said, give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Most High. And Yahweh said unto Samuel, hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them.
Yeah, and that's the same thing today. The Lord was like, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It ain't you. It ain't you. They rebelling against me. Mm-hmm. Now it's time for me to move. You know what I'm saying? So we gonna go ahead and hearken to the people. I got something. I already got it cooked up. You see? Go ahead.
Con. And that does that not sound familiar? They have not hearkened unto, they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me. They took, the Lord said that to Moses as well. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Numbers. Okay, no, not Numbers. Hold on. Oh yeah, here it is. Let me see. But I know they said it. Yeah, here we go. Well, here's an example. Um, Exodus 16 and 8, real quick. Exodus 16 and 8, when everybody was demanding to have meat and they didn't want no more manna. It says, and Moses said, this shall be when Yahweh shall give you in the evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full, for Yahweh heareth your murmurings, which you murmur against him. And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against Yahweh. So yeah, man. Anytime our people really, a lot of times they don't realize when they talking, smack about the prophets, or they murmuring, you know what I'm saying, giving suggestions. Oh, why don't you guys go find a church? Why don't you guys go get a job? They're really murmuring against the Heavenly Father, man, because He's the one through Yahweh Shai that sent us, man.
Yep. And then also in that verse, you realize that the Lord gave us meat to eat. So for everybody that's thinking that meat is the devil and all that, I would say the Lord himself provided meat when his people were hungry. So deal with that. We're gonna keep moving. We're gonna keep moving though for you salad eating bastards.
Yeah, we put chicken in our salad. Okay.
What was that? What was that dude? What's the dude? Charleston White. We wasn't made to eat beef. We wasn't made to chew meat. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That was just dumb nigga speak that irked me. I had to mention that.
Yeah, Con. A lot of dumb stuff has spewed out of the mouth of Jake recently, man. But continuing on here, First Samuel.
We got that precept.
Oh, okay.
Shalom, Karab, the water. Is Deuteronomy 17 and 15. It says, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy power shall choose. One from among the brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, right? Which is not of thy brother. That's plain and simple. The king of Israel is going to be an Israelite. You know what I'm saying? Not nobody else. You see? That's in the law. Yeah, so for all you dudes out there that's ducking and dodging the MOTB, you setting your congregation up to give them over to the devil.
Man,
you about to set your congregation up a whole nother king, because you didn't already bow down to him. You already with the image. You done proved that you with the image. Now all y'all got to do is take the mark. And it's looking like it's going that route. Yeah. So all you dudes out there, it's all about the law. Know that you breaking the law when you tell them to go ahead and do that. Let's go.
Con. All right. Going back here. 1 Samuel chapter 8, I believe it was in the 8th verse. Verse 8. It says, according to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto thee. So, and that's why, man, the history is so important, man. You have individuals that may not harp on the history, but I mean, GMS, we got to go into the history, because that's how we understand how we got to the point that we're in today. And I mean, shoot, without the history, we wouldn't really be able to accurately say who the Israelites are, man. Because I mean, of course, today, we could say today, but like without knowing that we were the people that were led out of Egypt, without knowing that we were the hard-headed people that demanded of Moses meat when the Lord already gave us manna, without knowing that we were the same hard-headed people that demanded a king among us when we're the only nation that didn't have one, and we were just fine without a king. You see, we wouldn't really be able to pinpoint it as much. So this history is important, man.
Bro, we the only nation that don't. we the only nation that didn't have a history. Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, everything go back to some madness because of because it was hidden.
Right.
You see, we would. I would say, you talk to a Hamite, they know their history. They can go back. You talk to an Ammonite, they can go back. They can't go back far enough. You know what I'm saying? But they can go back. They have a history. That's what I'm saying. You can't go back to black. Ain't no land called black where black people came from.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the history book is the Bible. Every Negro, Latino, and Native American got a Bible in their house, bro. Whether they use it or not.
Yep.
But the Lord knew He was gonna wake. The Lord knew He was gonna wake His men up in due time. Go ahead.
All right. Continuing on. All right, we got verse 9. It says, "Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit, yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them." Okay. In verse 10 it says, so that was the Most High's instructions to Samuel. In verse 10 it says, "And Samuel told all the words of Yahweh unto the people that asked of him a king." So they were expecting this super dope decked out. They were expecting King Solomon. You know what I'm saying? They were expecting King Solomon as their king, and they were expecting it to be like how it was when King Solomon reigned, not knowing that they were adding an extra unnecessary element of complexity to the situation, because the Most High is the ultimate judge, So it says in verse 11, "And he said, This will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots." Whereas before, I mean, yeah, you had an army, but there was no draft. You know what I mean? Everybody came to the war willingly. And when the king, he needed his personal bodyguards. He needed, his army. You know what I'm saying? It was no longer, well, it was still the Lord's army, but really it was the king's army, and it says in verse 12, and he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over fifties, and will set them to ear his ground and to reap his harvest. Because prior to this, you had individuals that owned land, and they may have had slaves, but now, or servants, I'll say even, but now the king, he don't work. You know what I'm saying? The king's job is to just basically be the leader of the military campaign and judge, right? So he needs servants as well. You know what I mean? And so that's an extra element of labor that previously didn't exist in Israel.
He basically telling Israel, he like, look, man, I know y'all want a king, but let's go through these kings' track records, man. All they do is enslave y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want a heathen ruling over you? I can't get it. The heathens got a king. All the kings are heathens. Why do you want a king when we already got the Lord? This is what these kings do. You gonna be for their benefit, and that's it. Why can't y'all see that?
Right.
And then it got to the point where he was like, okay, hey, the Lord said we're gonna give y'all a king. You see? Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. And in verse 12, it says, "He will appoint captains over thousands and captains over fifties, and will set them to ear his ground and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the tenth of your seed and yards and give to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your men servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses, and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you, and Yahweh will not hear you in that day.
You see that? You begging for a king. You begging for a king, when you see that the heathen, all the kings rule over the heathen with vigor. You see, y'all want that?
Right.
Instead of being obedient to the Heavenly Father, y'all want that. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. It says in verse 19, nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, "Nay, but we will have a king over us." Hard headed as mug, man. You know what I'm
You got
saying?
it.
Yeah. Okay, let me see here. This is continuing on in verse 20. It says that we may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles. So they were like, look, Samuel, screw what you talking about. You know what I'm saying? A king gonna be good because he can go out and fight our battles, and he's gonna be a valiant, he's gonna be just this mighty, invincible guy, you know what I'm saying? And we won't have to do nothing. We won't have to do too much. All we gotta do is follow what he says, you know. And damn man, that's really sad. You know what I'm saying? That out of all
Man,
Israel, the elders of all Israel had that mindset, Um,
that's happening today.
right. Yeah. Man, it says verse 21, and Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the Most High, of Yahweh. And Yahweh Bashem Yahushua said to Samuel, hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, go ye every man unto his city. Man, let me see here. I will I think I'm gonna make this precept real quick. You see.
I'm gonna read this commentary going into chapter 9.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It says Saul, who became Israel's first king, originally had no desire or political power and little interest in the spiritual ministry of Samuel. As the son of a wealthy landowner, he was more concerned about the loss of his father's donkeys and the I will say and the worry and the worry he might cause his father by being away so long in a search for them. The This concern led him to seek the help of Samuel. Right? I would say he wasn't worried. He went to go see Samuel. He went to go find Samuel the prophet so he could find his father's donkey. You know what I'm saying? And it just goes to show you the Lord raised up, just like the Lord raised up King David, the keeper of the sheep. Same thing with Saul. Saul was the son of a landowner. You saying he was all about his father's business, and the Lord raised him up. You see, because that's one thing about Saul. Saul was the Lord's man for a while, but once that transition came, it was time for something else. But when the Lord chose Samuel, when the Lord had Samuel to choose Saul, he knew what he was doing. You see, Saul had plenty of good works. He just also had his faults too, just like every other king in Israel.
That's
Go
right.
ahead.
That's right. Okay, so I got this precept in Isaiah chapter 1, and basically this is like a glimpse into what ended up happening. Because Isaiah prophesied during the Assyrian Empire amongst the southern kingdom after the split, and basically, this is the condition that Israel ended up in after having these kings. After a few generations of, you know, um, man, the Lord called. I'm gonna start at verse 10. Isaiah 1 and 10 says, hear the word of Yahweh, you rulers of Sodom. Give ear unto the law of our power, you people of Gomorrah. So the Lord basically, the Lord basically likened our people to Sodom and
Abomination.
Gomorrah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. It says, what to what purpose is the multitude of their sacrifices unto me, saith Yahweh. I am full of the burnt offerings of rams and the fat of fed beasts, and I delight not in the blood of bullocks or of lambs or of he goats. Okay. When you come to appear before me, who hath required this at your hand to tread my courts? The Lord saying, like, look, man, all of these sacrifices that I commanded, it was supposed to be done with righteous intent. Our people do it with malicious intent. And with the king being ruling over our people, you would think that it would help out our people. What I'm saying? People were requesting the king so that the king could help them out, fight their battles, show them which way to go. But we see in Isaiah 1 the direction that ended up going, that the nation ended up going in. So, all right, so that's the end of chapter 8. So let's go to chapter 9. Okay, and this is introducing the man Saul now. So this is Isaiah, excuse me, 1 Samuel 9:1. Now there
I
was
want
a
to say
man.
that's another thing, man. Going into the history, you have to understand the history of Saul and David. That's huge because both of those houses are still going at it today.
Right.
You see, in Romans 11:8, they say that we were made enemies for the sake of the gospel. Well, here's where it goes back to. Okay, go ahead.
Kind. Now there was a man of Benjamin whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Becharath, the son of Apiah, a Benjamite, a mighty man of power. And he had a son whose name was Saul, a choice young man and a goodly. And there was not among the children of Israel a goodlier person than he. So he was the Absalom of his day. He was the most what they thought, tall, dark, and handsome. You know what I'm saying? We'll look into that word goodly real quick.
Look up his name too.
Yeah, okay, we'll do Saul first. Okay, Strong's H7586, shot a wall, and it means desired. Literally, that's what his name means. Shot a wall.
Yep.
So yeah, desired. And so going back here, and that was a nomen omen, you know what I'm saying? His name described the character. Okay, so that word goodly real quick. Goodly. All right. Oh, Tawab. Let me see it. There's another one. Tawab. Okay, yeah, well, we know what Tawab means, but I'll get it anyway. Strong's H 2896, Tawab, meaning good, pleasant, agreeable, excellent,
And that's what King Saul was.
Yeah.
That's what he was, and he ruled in righteousness for a point, just like the other kings of Israel did.
Yeah.
I would say all the kings had their faults, but that's what I'm saying. David was the one that was after the Most High's heart. You know what I'm saying? The mercy, the mercy that David received, no other king received that type of mercy. You know, you got it.
Yes, Saul's physical stats was 99. You know what I'm saying, but his spiritual stats, it didn't make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll say when the Lord took it away, He took it away.
Man, okay, so verse 3. Oh, excuse me. In the middle of verse 2, it says, "And there was not among the children of Israel a goodlier person than he, for from his shoulders upward he was higher than any of the people." So he had a couple inches on the tallest dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Shaq was standing in the crowd, or if Shaq was in the camp, for example, or somebody as tall as him, the tallest brother in the camp wouldn't even reach to Shaq's shoulders. So everybody looked like, damn, okay, if somebody his height was in the camp, somebody 6'9" or however tall he is, was in the camp, they would immediately look like, oh yeah, that's got to be the leader. He's taller than all of the rest.
That's actually an accurate thought, because look at when the Lord was taller than everybody when he was handing them crowns out.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to get that?
Why not? Yeah, let's pull it.
That's a good one.
What's that? Second Ezra's? Second Ezra's 14, 13.
I believe it's the second chapter.
2. Yeah, 2 and 40 something.
Yeah. Let me see. Do it quick. Let me see. I thought it was on there.
I think you could type in stature. Yeah, type in stature, then go just search the Apocrypha.
Oh, I'm in Ecclesiasticus. I'm like, what the hell going on? I'm tripping.
Yeah.
Second Ezra 2. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yep, 43. Second Ezra chapter 2, verse 43. It says, and in the midst of them was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns. Talking about the elect, the Lord, the Heavenly Father, stood up Yahushai. That's that young man of a high stature, you know,
Mhm.
taller than all the rest. Talking about Yahushai. Okay, and upon every one of their heads, every one of their heads, that's talking about the 144,000. Okay, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So yeah, man, Yahushua going to be the one putting on those crowns when you read the breakdown.
Go ahead and read down through 48.
Okay, cool. All right, verse 44, it says, "So I asked the angel and said, 'Sir, what are these?' And the angel broke it down to him." Verse 45, it says, "He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of the Most High, and now are they crowned and receive palms. Then said I unto the angel, What young person is it that crowneth them and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of the Most High, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of
You see,
Yahweh."
so it lets you know who that taller man is. That's
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh Shai. You
Yep.
see, now when you go back to Samuel, that's how the Lord wanted to establish the king. He wanted them to be goodly. He wanted them to be tall. He wanted them to be strong. He wanted them to be righteous.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Saul. That in the beginning of Saul. That's how he was. You see.
Mm-hmm.
Go
Mm-hmm.
ahead.
Verse 3.
I said the Lord wouldn't just go put no nigga in power.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Why you think he was killing off all the prophet's sons? Because he wasn't finna put no nigga in there. Go
Man.
ahead.
That's heavy. Verse 3, it says, "And the asses of Kish, Saul's father, were lost." So Saul's father had some lost donkeys. And Kish said to Saul his son, Now take now one of the servants with thee, and arise and go seek the asses.
That's what
Okay.
I'm saying. So the Lord knowing that he was gonna set Saul and Samuel up. That's how he did it. You know what I'm saying? He set him up. He set him up to meet by some donkeys being lost.
Yep.
And he went to the seer because it tell you in the commentary that all Saul was worried about was his father's business.
Hmm.
You see, that's all he was worried about. So the Lord took what was most important to him, and he used that donkey to lead him to the prophet, and the
Con.
prophet took care of the rest.
Mm-hmm. That's heavy. That shows you that. I mean, that's kind of like how we came into the truth. It was just by, you know, like by circumstance. You know what I mean? Something that we didn't know what we was going to get into. So I didn't know he was going to get into meeting Samuel on the way. It was just a regular day of work for him.
Yep, he was on donkey patrol.
Donkey duty.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't come in on an ass, but it was his job to provide one.
Man, God.
Go ahead.
So verse 4, it says, "And he passed through Mount Ephraim and passed through the land of Shalisha, but they found them not. And then they passed through the land of Shalem, and there they were not. And he passed through the land of the Benjamites, but they found them not." So you see how far to an extent that they would go to, just to find some donkeys. That shows you how valuable, those animals were back then as well. It says in verse 5, "And when they were come to the land of Zuph, Saul said to his servant that was with him, Come and let us return, lest my father leave caring for the asses and take thought for us." Because they were out for a minute. And it says in verse 6, "And when he had said and he said unto him, Behold, now there is in this city a man of God, and he is an honorable man." So his uh, Saul's servant, pretty much responded back to Saul saying this. And he says, "All that he saith cometh surely to pass. Let us go thither. Peradventure he can show us our way that we should go," which is a wise counsel.
Yep.
Verse 7, it says, "Then said Saul to his servant, But Behold, if we go, what shall we bring the man? For the bread. You see, that shows you that common courtesy was a thing in Israel, man. It's not so common anymore. You know what I mean? Like if you request of somebody's services, or if you ask a favor of somebody, you know what I'm saying? That's part of being brotherly, man, is to really, compensate them for that, man. The prophets, people don't think about that. We're doing the work of the Most High. Well, Samuel, his occupation was just simply to do that. You know what I'm saying? So like for the prophets now, you know what I'm saying, for those that benefit off of the teachings of the prophets, well, think about, compensating them for those things. You know what I'm saying? Tithes and offerings, man. Um, all right. So it says, for the bread is spent in our vessels, and there is not a present to bring to the man of the Most High. What have we? And the servant answered Saul again and said, behold, I have here at hand the fourth part of a shekel of silver. That will I give to the man of the Most High to tell us our way. So, they were like, okay, we're going to compensate him with some people with some silver, you know. Before time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of the Most High, thus he spake, come and let us go to the seer, for he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer. I want to get those words in the Hebrew um, real quick. Okay, this is just giving the history before they were called the prophets. They were called seers, which that word is ra'ah, to see, Strong's H72 03. And it's a seer, somebody to see, because ra'ah used as a verb is to see. You can see here the root word is a very common word in Hebrew, ra'ah. And so a seer would be also ra'ah, but used as a noun, right? So let's go back here. So that was the name of a prophet. Before they were called prophets, they were called seers.
Right. Because prophesy means to say before.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Okay. Now prophet in the Hebrew is nabaya'ah. Nabaya'ah. Okay. Strong's H5030. A spokesman, a speaker, or a prophet, you know. So just a little nugget there. Hebrew nugget. All right, continuing on in verse 10, it says, then said Saul to his servant, well said, come, let us go. So they went unto the city where the man of the Most High was, and they went up the hill to the city. Excuse me. And as they went up the hill to the city, they found young maidens going out to draw water, and said unto them, is the seer here? And they answered them and said, he is. Behold, he is before you.
I'll
Make
say, but
haste.
you see how it was also a common thing for our people to go amongst the prophets
Mhm,
to ask certain things.
mhm,
You see, prophets, I would say, pursuant to Hebrews chapter 1, prophets go all the way back to the time of Adam. It was
mhm.
prophets that told Adam that he was going off. You see? So
That's right.
how about Rebecca? If when Jacob and Esau was in her belly, she went to the prophet to ask what was going on.
Yep.
You see, it was a common thing. How about now? People don't come to the prophets. I mean, they come on the comment board, or they come on the comment board to have questions and stuff. Now that dynamic has been brought back into the earth. But you see, you also have the misuse of the prophets. You have the sincere that come out. You know what I'm saying? But now that is it's like a new thing in the earth almost. You
Mhm,
see, that spirit has been brought back. So when you see people on the comment board that ask their questions, when you have people actually come out in sincerity, what was it last week? We had a lady come out to pay her tithes to us.
mhm.
You see, so that concept of the prophet dealing with the people is back. As much as people try to deny it, but you got it.
All right. Okay, this is continuing on in First Samuel chapter 8, verse 12. And they answered them and said, he is. Behold, he is before you. Make haste now, for he came today to the city, for there is a sacrifice of the people today in the high place. So it just so happened that he was actually there in the city. Um, and it says, verse 13, and as soon as ye become into the city, ye shall straightway find him, before he go up to the high place to eat. For the people will not eat until he come, because he doeth bless the sacrifice, and afterwards they eat they eat that he bidden. Now therefore get you up, for about this time ye shall find him. You see how Eve was more compliant back then? You
Man,
know, now, man, shoot, you ask a woman for direction, they think you're trying to holler at them or something. Well, I mean, I guess you got GPS, but that may not be a good example. But you get what I'm saying. You try to even just walk up to her, you know what I'm saying? You just try to even just, well, hey, how you doing? Like they just, what I'm saying, right? But they have directions back then, man. So anyway, continuing on in verse 14, it says, and they went up into the city, and when they were come up into the city, behold, Samuel came out against them, for to go up to the high place. So they were looking, they were on a mission. It says now at verse 15, now Yahweh had told Samuel in his ear a day before Samuel came, saying, tomorrow about this time I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin. So you
he
see
shared
how,
his secret with his servant the prophet.
man.
He shared his secret with his servant the prophet. He already told Samuel. He was like, "Look, hearken to the people. Hearken to the people. I'm gonna build them up a king."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's playing out. Go
Mm-hmm.
ahead. I know you was about to say something. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I mean, like you said, Zaquan, you pretty much took the words out of my mouth. That's the spiritual like there's there's different levels, man, of communication with the Most High that is available, through Yahweh Shai, man. We just gotta be in tune with Yahweh Shai, because now, it ain't like how it was back then, you know what I'm saying, where we were closer to the Most High back then. You know what I'm saying? The Most High, he's only dealing with his prophets in these times, but even more so now, because it's like he casts our people off as a nation, you know what I'm saying? And so only through Yahweh Shai we even going to be able to have, any type of communication. He's our mediator, you know. And so it says, and thou shalt anoint him to be captain over my people Israel, that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people, because their cry has come unto me. You see
You
the Most
see?
High. Yeah, you got it, Zaquan.
Yeah, I would say he raised Saul up for a reason, for a purpose. You see, and then once Saul had fulfilled his lot, it was passed on. But that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. We get into the history. We get into the history of our kings. Some of the stuff we gonna like when we hear it. Some of the stuff gonna make us cringe. But at the end of the day, we understand that this is our history. This is the way the Lord set it up, and this is our trial run. You know what I'm saying? Seeing what life looks like with sin.
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh shall conquering that whole thing, and the earth being given into the hand of the righteous moving forward. You see, but you got to know the history. You see, that's why a lot of Jake don't know what they be talking about, man, because they don't. The spirit ain't on them to go into the history. They don't know. They know they Israelites, but they don't know nothing else.
Man.
Go ahead.
Yep. Well, shoot, that precept pops up in my head when I hear that in Sirach 39. All right, this is this is Sirach 39:1. It says, "But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient." How are you going to seek out the wisdom of the ancient without going into what happened in ancient times? We're going into the history. You see, it says, "And be occupied in prophecies." It says, "He will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, there, he will be there also." So yeah, man, you gotta go into the history to find out who are the renowned men and find out what they said.
Keep reading.
Verse 3, it says, "He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences, and be conversant in dark parables."
Now check this out. Check this out. When we go into the scriptures and we go into the blue letter and we go into the Hebrew and the Latin and the Greek, That's what you see and play out live in real time. Us seeking out the secret grave sentences and being conversant in the dark parables. We telling you it ain't talking about that. It's talking about this. Right?
Okay.
This is literally playing out right now. We went into the scriptures. Now we've recording it so that the congregation can see it. And then they're going to go do the same thing. You see? How are you going? That's what I'm saying. How are you going to tell me about the Avengers when you haven't seen the movie? How are you going to explain to me what the Justice League is and how they came together if you didn't read the comics, you ain't seen the movies, you ain't watched the cartoons? But it's something. Here, you got 10 minutes to talk about the Justice League. Have at it. How are you going to hear his crickets? It's the same thing with these scriptures. How should they know without a preacher? How should that preacher be that preacher if he's not sent? You watching the Lord send the prophet to the people to tell them what's happening, to tell them what's gonna come. They wanted a king, they asked for a king, they got a king.
That's right.
Now here we are, we asking for our king. Yahushua. You see, we begging for our king. We understand that Yahushua and King David is who the Lord set up. Yahushua is going to rule on the throne of David. You have to know that history, especially if you're going to push this word. This is only meant, Ariana said all the time, this book is for the prophets. Everybody else just got one.
Yep. Man, okay. Yep. They might as well just have a book with no words in it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. This book ain't for nobody but the prophets. To unlock it, to understand. Yeah. That's going to hearken to it. That's going to be occupied in prophecies. That's why it looked like we running circles around y'all, because we actually doing what's required. We know it ain't no other way out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go back to that 1 Samuel 9. Okay, and read verse 16 again. It says, tomorrow about this time I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin, and thou shalt anoint him to be captain over my people Israel, that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. I have looked upon my people, because their cries come unto me. And when Samuel saw Saul, Yahweh said unto him, behold, the man whom I spake to thee of, this same shall reign over my people. Then Saul drew near to Samuel in the gate and said, tell me, I pray thee, where the seer's house is. And Samuel, so it's spiritual. Saul came to Samuel, you know what I mean? And asked him, was like, hey, do you know where this prophet is at? You know where the seer is at? He didn't realize he was talking to him. Verse 19, Samuel answered Saul and said, I am the seer. Go up before me unto the high place, for ye shall eat with me today, and tomorrow I will let thee go, and will tell thee all that is in thine heart. And as for thine asses that were lost 3 days ago, set not. So hold on, wait. He didn't even say nothing to him. Saul didn't even tell him the situation. Samuel just knew, and it's like people don't think that the Lord can keep Esau from holding you down and sticking a chip in you, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, where's the faith, man? We see in the spiritual power that was given. You got one body in Yahushua talking about spiritual power is witchcraft. Samuel must have been doing witchcraft then to know that the reason why Saul came to him. You know what I mean?
It's just silly.
Anyway, it says, verse 20 again, as for thine asses that were lost 3 days ago, set not thy mind on them, for they are found. And on whom is all the desire? And on whom is all the desire of Israel? Is it not on?
That's what Saul mean.
Yep, that's it. That's it.
That's what I'm saying. The people desire the king. The Lord gave them one, just like that. You see? Go ahead.
Is it not on thee and on all thy father's house? And Saul answered and said, Am I not a Benjamite of the smallest of the tribes of Israel? And my father, excuse me, and my family, the least of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin? Wherefore then speakest thou so unto me? So Saul was like, huh?
Yeah,
Must she
he
looking
like
at
he,
this?
he like, oh, okay, I feel you, but I don't feel you.
All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pardon my surprise. Go
hmm
ahead.
And Samuel took Saul and his servant and brought them unto into the parlor and made them sit in the chiefest place among them that were bidden, which were about 30 persons. And Samuel took unto the cook, bring the portion, excuse me, and Samuel said unto the cook, bring the portion which I gave thee, of which I said unto thee, set it by thee. And the cook took up the shoulder and that which was set upon it, and set it before Saul. And Samuel said, behold, that which is left, set it before thee, and eat. For unto this time it hath been kept for thee since I said, I have invited the people. So Saul did eat with Samuel that day. So,
No, I said
so
the prophet sat down and supped with him. The Lord sent somebody to sup with him to build him up,
mhm,
letting you know that the prophet takes precedent over the king. The prophet had to build the king up.
man,
You see,
heavy.
so when it comes to the seer, when it comes to the prophets, you see how heavy the Lord deals with them. Go
God.
ahead.
Yep. Verse 25. And when they were come down from the high place into the city, Samuel communed with Saul upon the top of the house. And they rose early, and it came to pass about the spring of the day that Samuel called Saul to the top of the house, saying, up, that I may send thee away. And Saul arose, and they went out, both of them, he and Samuel abroad. So they kind of went out of the house and kind of did that Lion King scene with Mufasa and what's the son's name? You know,
Simba.
Mufasa and Simba, that scene where he like had him on the sunset, and it was like, look, you see all this land, this is all gonna be that intimate moment. It says in verse 27, and as they were going down to the end of the city, Samuel said to Saul, bid the servant pass on before us. And he passed on. But stand thou a while, that I may show thee the word of the Most High. You know, so that's the end of chapter 9. And pretty much chapter 10 is going to continue on with the prophecy of Saul, being king and all that stuff. But yeah, that's basically how it happened, man. That's how Saul was introduced to Samuel, and was the previous chapter 8, talking about how Israel was demanding of a king. So let me see. Stop sharing my screen. We've been going for almost an hour. We got some precepts on there, the comment board.
Oh yeah. Let's go ahead and pull a few. I'm
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Brothers lit it up, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Karab, he also put Proverbs. All
Yeah.
right. You can read them. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Proverbs. Yeah. Proverbs 3:31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. Because when we're reading in chapter 8, you had our people demanding of Samuel a king, and really that kind of reminds me of Psalm 73. Talking about when Asaph seeing how the other nations were prospering, and he kind of got a little jealous until he went into the house of the Most High and understood, look, man, this is all temporary, man. This is just for a little moment, that the situation that we're in is going to continue to stay that way. But pretty soon the Lord's going to set us up, over the other nations. But everything that happened in the past, man, is all spiritual. It's all for our learning, like we quote all the time. That which was written beforehand was for our learning, man. So we understand, okay, don't do that again. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like, no, we need to be
That's just
focused.
like how we as a class, as the whole camp, we reading Wisdom of Solomon. And when you get into those chapters, you see the effect that idol worship had on Israel, man. You know what I'm saying? I was reading a couple chapters this morning, and I was like, man, that the idol worship, bro, that shit is not where it's at, bro. Talking about shit to get you destroyed, man. Right? This is the rest of that verse. It says, for the froward is an abomination to the Lord, but his secret is with the righteous. You
Mhm.
see? So just I will say, when the Lord give you revelations, can't nobody tell you that you didn't get that or you didn't see that. You know what I'm saying? All right.
Mhm.
This is Ezekiel 33 and 32. It says, "And lo, thou art unto them as a very lovely song of one that hath a pleasant voice, and can play well on an instrument, for they hear thy words, but they do them not. And when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come. Then shall they know that a prophet had been among them." You see? So I'll say everybody that's hollering about conspiracy theories and this ain't what that mean and that ain't what that mean.
Yeah.
We're gonna see.
Kind.
We're gonna see. I was saying, because here it is. The Lord revealed his secrets to his servant, the prophets. It ain't the prophet's fault that you don't believe it. You see, but the Lord gonna show and prove. The Lord undefeated, man.
That's right.
All right. 2 Chronicles 36 and 15. It says, "And the Lord God of their father sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place." That's what the prophets are for, right? It says, "But they mocked the messengers of the Most High and despised his words and misused his prophets, until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people, till there was no remedy." You see, that's happened time and time and time again in our history, letting us know that when the prophets are out on the scene, that's when it's time to start to repent and get right. You see, they out there all the time. So that mocking and that scoffing and that misuse is gonna come to a head. It's gonna come to a head. You see, and every idle word that you being held accountable, you're gonna know what you said. You're gonna know what you did. It might be playing over in your head back and forth. I don't know, but you will know because the prophecy says it. You got something else?
No, that's pretty much it on this side, Zaquan.
Come on, you can go ahead and close us out, Baba Shaw.
Yeah. So, hey, Lord willing, this is edifying lesson. We're going to continue on the series next week. Abaratazah, Lord willing. With that, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.
Shalom.